Hello. This is just going to be a short video guide on tears and their mechanics, mainly aimed towards newer players that may not understand how all the tears work or what is the difference between all the tears, and I hope to be able to clear that up for some people. As a quick heads up, this information is subject to change as some of the abilities have changed in the past, as well as some of the mechanics, and they will change even more so whenever terror mutations get implemented. But aside from that, I hope some people are able to find this guide helpful, and I encourage you to subscribe if you want to see more guides and content for Deceit in the future. First off, I'm going to be talking about some general information about the infected and their terror forms. There are currently 5 different terrors in the game right now, that being the 2 free terrors, the Experiment and the Yeti, as well as the DLC terrors, the Werewolf, the Vampire, and the Spider. All of these terrors are similar, but they have different looks, sounds, and abilities for you to be able to tell them apart. When it comes to nighttime, a little bit of information you should know is the infected are always able to transform into their terror forms, but they are not able to fully kill and can only knock players down unless they have an execute. They are able to get this execute by drinking blood bags and downing players to get the extra blood. The infected players also share blood and executes. Whenever you expel them, tears will also be able to spawn in any vent on the map, so you have to be careful with this noise as it means a terror is currently coming out of a vent. And now I'll be going into what each terror looks like, sounds like, and what they can do with their ability. This is the Experiment terror. Here are the different sounds it makes. Its ability sends out a decoy which rushes out in front of them and can confuse any innocents in its way. It can be quite confusing for new players that might not understand which one is the decoy and which one is the real terror. First off, you will know whenever the infected is sending a decoy by this noise. And once you hear that, you need to pay attention. The decoy is really bright, it is also faster than the terror player, and it can only go straight forward. So make sure to keep a lookout for those 3 things when you're trying to identify the decoy. And if you're not sure, you could always send a bullet into it or use a little bit of your torch. The decoy will disappear after it's hit by any sort of damage. As for infected players that are playing as an experiment, your ability may not be the strongest, so you have to know how to use it properly. When you use the ability, your decoy will shoot out in a straight line wherever you are currently looking. So especially in something like an open area, you will want to shoot your decoy and then move away from it to try and confuse the innocent and split their attention. The decoy is also very good for disarming traps. If you see that an innocent is hiding behind some traps that you don't want to run into, you can back up from the blast radius and then send your decoy in, which will trigger any traps that it runs into. Next up is the other free terror, the Yeti. Here are the different sounds it makes. The Yeti has the ability of bringing up a shield that will slow it for a small amount of time, but also greatly increase the damage that it can take in that time. The ability looks like this when it is used. For innocents, whenever you see that a Yeti has used its ability, you don't really want to just be sitting there dumping bullets into it. The best thing that you can do is either run until the shields are down, or you can still use your light items. The Yeti's ability only produces a shield. It does not mean it won't get staggered by light items, it just means that it will take less damage from those. For the infected player playing Yeti, the ability is best used when you're either running into a group of innocents or you are low in health and you need that shield to get that extra little bit of distance to be able to execute or down an innocent. It's also pretty good as well against traps. The first DLC terror I'm going to talk about is the Werewolf. Here are the different sounds it makes. Its ability is to howl. It disorientates any innocents that were in the range, as well as making them drop any fuses that they may have been holding. As an innocent, whenever you get howled, your screen will be very blurry, and it will be hard to shoot the terror that is coming at you. What you want to do in that situation is not use your gun or shotgun, and instead go for light items. Light items like the camera and torch have a pretty big width compared to your gun or shotgun, and it will be a lot easier to hit and slow the werewolf while your screen is like that. As an infected playing the werewolf, you want to always make sure you time your howls perfectly. You'll want to howl before you go into an area that you know has an innocent or multiple innocents, so that you can get the most confusion out of them and hopefully be able to stop them from killing you whenever you go into that area. You can also try to time your howls to hit an innocent after they have picked up a fuse, and you will be able to know that they dropped it, giving you extra time. Next up is the Vampire Terror. Here are the different sounds it makes. Its ability is the Swarm. After they use the Swarm ability, they will get a slight speed boost, as well as being able to teleport back to the Swarm for a certain amount of time after they use it. This ability is definitely the hardest to use effectively for new players, as it requires a decent timing and game sense. As an innocent, you don't ever want to be running in the direction of the Swarm, as if the terror knows, it'll be able to teleport to it and down or execute you. It is best to stay away from it, as well as understanding that if you see the Swarm, you know that the vampire has a speed boost and will be faster than normal. As an infected vampire player, there are many ways to effectively use the ability. You could use it just for the small speed boost. You can also use it to camp a bleeding out person or one of the remaining fuse boxes, as well as being able to put it in front of an exit and catch an innocent off guard that's running to it. If you're not able to catch up to an innocent, you can also try to push an innocent in a direction that you know that your Swarm is at, so that you can catch them off guard. The last terror that is currently in the game is the Spider Terror. It is the newest and, in my opinion, the most fun terror there is. Here are the different sounds it makes. Its ability is a web that is able to pull itself towards an area, as well as pull a human towards it. This ability requires the user to have some sort of decent aim, considering the nature of it. As an innocent, you should try not to run predictably, like in a straight line when you know that a spider is near. You'll also want to try to avoid standing still, as you'll be a sitting duck. Even if you are behind some traps, the spider will be able to pull you to their side of the trap and eat you. When a spider misses their web and hits an object, they will be slightly vulnerable while they're pulling themselves to that place. And whenever this happens, you'll want to try to expel the terror with any light items or ammo that you have. As an infected player, you have to make sure that your aim is on point whenever you're shooting your web at a player. If you miss and hit an object, you will be stuck in animation pulling yourself to that object for a small bit, and for that time you are vulnerable and not able to attack anyone. So you'll always want to try to make sure that you're hitting the player even if you have to line it up first. A couple of assorted uses for the ability may be pulling an innocent away from a fuse box that they're about to put a fuse in, as well as if a trap is stopping you from getting to an innocent, pulling them to your side of the trap so that you can get them. The spider can be very oppressive with these plays, especially with how much potential they have to slow down the innocents putting in fuses. So those were all of the Deceit terror abilities currently in the game, as well as some ways that you can use or avoid them as infected or innocent. Again, if you enjoyed this guide or if it was helpful in any way, I encourage you to subscribe. I have more Deceit guides and content coming your way. Thank y'all for watching.